the world's #1 sleep aid brand, has a range of non-habit forming products to fit you and your family's needs. Invest in a great night's sleep for the best you tomorrow.
I'm awake and ready to take on anything.
Better days start with ZzzQuil Nights. Explore our products at ZzzQuil.com. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Kick off football season down at Kasai Japanese Steakhouse, now with 2 Valley locations. When it comes to Asian cuisine, no one does it better or more authentic than Kasai, where talented teppanyaki chefs create the food, the fire, and the fun of teppanyaki. Kasai Japanese Steakhouse isn't just for dinner, it's dinnertainment, a memorable dining experience where a delicious 7-course meal is prepared right at your table with flair. It's a perfect choice for celebrations, date nights, or a night on the town. Choose from over 30 different items and combinations of teppanyaki, Asian fusion, and innovative sushi. Happy hour is always on fire and offered daily with their specials on Asian-inspired comfort food like Togarashi chicken wings, Mongolian barbecue ribs, and their signature Wagyu beef burger. It's a touchdown every time at Kasai Japanese Steakhouse at either of their 2 locations, Scottsdale Road in Thunderbird, and now open in Peoria at the 101 in Northern. Go to KasaiTeppen.com. That's Kasai Teppen.com, or search Kasai on your mobile phone.
Don't miss a minute of the action when Sun Devil football returns to Mountain America Stadium Saturday, October 5th, when they take on Big 12 rival Kansas. Swoboda throws, intercepted by Piaseu. Cyrus Piaseu is going to take it all the way in for an Arizona State touchdown. A pick 6 for San Diego State transfer Cyrus Piaseu. Get your tickets today by calling 480-727-0000 or go online to sundeviltickets.com.
KQFN Tempe. Also transmitting on K257CD Phoenix at 99.3 FM and K240 EU Mountain Hills at 95.9 FM. Wherever you go, take us along. Listen to our live stream on our free Fanatic app. Download it today.
Here we go. Monday. Beat the book. We're doing it again.
Never stop.
Never stop. We're running it back another week. This is Beat the Book. We're broadcasting live from the Harmon Solar Studios here in sunny Scottsdale, uptown Scottsdale, even. I'm Keon Rose, and along with me, betting expert Dylan Cohen, and we're here to help you beat the book.
Put a little extra cash in your wallet if you're listening here. This is the only afternoon radio show here in Phoenix, Arizona that is designed to help you make a little bit of extra cheddar cheese. You know, stack that paper, as some other people might say. And
our great philosophy,
carefully curated by yours truly. And can't also forget to mention that this show is brought to you by Sport Trade. Sport Trade is the newest sports book that is coming here to the Valley. They are set to launch towards the end of this month. And if you haven't already, please go ahead and search Sport Trade. You can set your account up now, so that way you are prepared to get in on the action once they do go live towards the end of September. And don't forget to check out the Sport Trade Whale Tracker as well. You can start to get some visibility on some of these pretty large wagers that other bettors out there are placing through Sport Trade. Keon, I wanted to get things kicked off today. I think this will be kind of the way things will work every time we do a show on a Monday, just to highlight some of the best and some of the worst of the weekend. We had quite a bit of action over the last few days. And I think it's only right to start off today with just picking up with where we left off last week. And if you didn't happen to join us this past Friday, had an awesome show with Sport Trade CEO Alex Kane. He is going to be back with us this coming Friday. So if you missed it then, you'll have a chance to get in on some of that conversation. Learned a lot of really interesting stuff from the book's perspective.
I mean, like that's one of the most interesting interviews I think ever, just because a lot of betting people are interviewed, but you never get the opportunity to hear from the guy that runs an actual sport book, and they're doing some interesting things in Sport Trade.
Definitely. And I mean, I don't see CEOs, founders of any other large sports books out there, being willing to, give a face to the name and make a public appearance and talk about the things that the book is seeing from their side. So it's really awesome perspective to be able to add to this program. And we're definitely looking forward to that next interview with Alex this coming Friday. But I wanted to start off with talking about our Diamondbacks here. And, when you think about best things that happened over the weekend and worst things that happened over the weekend, I think it's fair to say D-backs got a little bit of both. They are coming off a 3-game series in Houston against the Houston Astros. And this past Friday, I was pretty big on a couple of things. A, the Diamondbacks to win the game money line. They were an underdog coming into that matchup. And then B, for Corbin Carroll to score a run. And these were wagers that AI completely supported. The value appeared to be there. And then the games happened and things just did not go the way that we had hoped. In that game on Friday, the Diamondbacks got rocked by Framber Valdez. Quite frankly, he really took control of that game early. The D-backs did not manage to score. They lost 8-0. Corbin Carroll did not get a run. The next night on Saturday, a little bit more of the same result. Astros won 11-5. And I think it's only right that we do kind of highlight what happened yesterday. It did seem to fly a little bit under the radar. Diamondbacks got that coveted 4 p.m. Sunday time slot for the MLB. That's
just sadly placed on an NFL Sunday. So it's not prime time, technically. If you're not the NFL at 4 p.m. on a Sunday, I have very bad news for you. You're not in prime time anymore.
Well, and just another way that, Arizona sports gets slighted by
just a little bit, just a little,
the powers that be. But that's okay, because for those that did get to tune in and did get to watch, folks, they're going to have to rename Minute Maid Park. It's going to have to involve the name Pavin Smith, at least for some amount of time. Pavin Smith yesterday carried the Arizona Diamondbacks. In his first 2 at-bats, he had a 3-run home run against Justin Verlander. Then he came up and hit a grand slam against Justin Verlander in the 3rd inning. So he had 7 RBIs in his first 2 at-bats, and he comes up for a 3rd at-bat. I watched this live, and I was in the back of my head, I'm like, I wonder what the odds are for Pavin to get another home run right now. I wonder. I didn't pull out the app. I didn't actually check it. It was all kind of playing out in real time a little too much, and I was definitely distracted with the football game going on. Pavin Smith came up and at his 3rd at-bat hit a 3rd home run. I'm pretty sure we have not seen anyone on the Diamondbacks do this yet this season. I may be wrong.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
I know Christian Walker's had at least 2 in a game. There actually, there might have been 1 in LA where I think he may have got 3. I'll have to go back and double check. But either way, give that man the key to Minute Maid Park.
Yeah,
oh my gosh,
that's a best of the weekend moment. I mean, you've got 3 at bats, 3 straight homers, 8 RBI. Just an insanely productive day for Pavin Smith. And yeah, you know what? I do like the a little bit of the ring of Pavin Smith Park.
Or
do it, Houston.
I mean, at the very least, Justin Verlander got a new daddy over the weekend. That's
just
sure.
Something like that, because he was having a brutal time out there. So that was one of our higher moments of the weekend. Involving the Diamondbacks, any of the worst moments surrounding that? Besides the loss,
those 2 games preceding it. Now, we did get Ketel Marte back. He had played on Friday and Saturday. They held him out on Sunday. So, we're still looking to get some more production out of him. He's got to shake off some of the rust. Corbin Carroll did not manage to actually score a run at all in the 3-game series, which was surprising. But despite that, if you look at the most runs in Major League Baseball over the last 30 days, guess who's on top? It's still Corbin Carroll. So,
he would have to be held hitless for a few nights before that actually changed.
It might have to be like literally a full week. It's honestly remarkable.
Like he would, he's that far ahead of everybody in terms of just how often he could score runs. It's still, even with this weekend in the rear view, the most consistent thing in baseball.
And it's definitely something that I'm not going to stop playing. So Diamondbacks do have a break today, but that will be something to look forward to for the rest of this week. There were a couple other things that definitely need to get pointed out in the worst of the week part of this. So I want to start off with Arizona football. Arizona Wildcats football. They played the NAU Lumberjacks down in Tucson, and Arizona had a lot of momentum coming into this game. They were a 35.5-point favorite. They had just displayed a really impressive offense against New Mexico, which, isn't the most elite defense in college football by any means. But, when a guy like Teteroa McMillan goes for 4 touchdowns and 300 receiving yards, you have to expect somewhat of a similar performance when he's playing at home against an FCS school. And that's not actually how the cookie crumbled in this one. Arizona struggled for much of the first half in this game. They really made things come together in the second half, but the final score here, 22 for Arizona to 10 against NAU. So they only won by 12 points, didn't come anywhere near covering that spread. That certainly ruined some wagers that I had played personally. Keon, did you happen to bet on that game at all?
Yeah, fortunately for me, I did not bet on that game. Mostly because it was just kind of off of my radar a little bit. I only bet on a handful of games. I did have an interesting time with that Notre Dame game. So we can talk about that one.
I forgot about that.
Oh yeah, the Northern Illinois
been under best. Yeah, no, I had my eye on it. I didn't play that one personally. How did you play that? Were you on?
I was on the Notre Dame side to cover.
Okay.
Oh yeah, no, I had a horrible time with that. That was interesting, wasn't good. Yeah, no, but I didn't. The Arizona NAU, I didn't play that one. I'm really glad I didn't play that one because I would have felt very confident about Arizona and their ability to handle NAU and the Lumberjacks, but they clearly weren't clicking that day. I don't know exactly what all the reasons were. But that for whatever reason, they were not firing on any cylinders, much less some of them.
Well, and they've got a very difficult test this week. They are playing Friday night against K-State, who is ranked, and that is going to be
ranked and looking good.
Well, and I mean, coming off a game like this that should have been much easier at home. I mean, now it definitely throws a lot of questions out there, about how they're going to fare against a ranked team, let alone this is going to be their first road game of their season. So, we'll have to keep an eye on that matchup, and there should definitely be some more feedback on that from us, as we get closer to Friday. But on the other side of the Arizona and ASU rivalry, there was a bit of a bright spot from the ASU Sun Devils. Sun Devil football managed to beat Mississippi State at home 30-23. And I think anytime ASU can claim a football victory against a SEC program, I mean, that's just something to be thrilled about. The bar's much lower, over here in Tempe than it is, over in Mississippi.
Over in Starkville. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what kind of takeaways did you take from that?
I think that ASU is a really adaptable team. That's my favorite thing I think about watching this team is that they can throw the football, but running the ball was working. So they just stuck with it. And Mississippi State didn't show any ability to stop or slow down Cameron Scadaboo, so they just kept giving him the ball. And at that point, I like that. I mean, it's a coach that's basically aware of, what his team needs to do to win on any Saturday. And he just goes out there and calls those plays like, hey, look, they're not stopping the run. We're gonna run the football. I know that you could put an emphasis on throwing the ball. That's something that they wanted to do this year more. They didn't throw the ball a whole bunch last year. They had a little bit of a quarterback carousel. They were trying to figure some things out. But now that Sam Leavitt's in there, he's clearly the guy. You don't have to force it. And they didn't. They kept being honest with what they were doing, which was, look, we're gonna continue to run the ball until Mississippi State shows they can stop it. And Mississippi State didn't stop it, and the result was a ASU rushing record for Mr. Cam Scadaboo, who is continuing to be one of the most exciting players in a Sun Devil uniform.
Wow. Yeah. Actually, I have that number pulled up in front of me. So
yeah,
Cam Scadaboo, 44 carries, 311 rushing yards.
Yeah. To me, the 311 rushing yards is insane, but the 44 carries is just bonkers. That's like 2003 SEC football right there. You have the biggest back on the field. You just turn around and give it to him every time. And Scadden was good for it. So why not? Like, it's just a smart thing to do.
Actually, I'm sorry. So the number is 262 yards. Still extremely
311
311
total.
is where he's at total.
With including receiving,
But
which is already that's still a lot. That's even more work.
Well, even to go from 49 yards in your first game and then, jack that up over 6 times the amount. I mean, that's just impressive. So definitely some potential. And ASU football certainly playing above expectations right now. Their next game comes this Thursday. It is on ESPN. They are taking on Texas State on the road. Certainly have to be coming into that matchup favored. We will definitely speak more about this one later on in the week. But another thing that
I did bet this game, by the way. Took ASU to cover the spread.
Well,
which they did.
Good thing you got your bet in early too. The earlier that you get that bet, the better value.
It was 5.5 when I took it.
Have to imagine that's going to close above 7 at the very least.
Yeah, it was 6 Saturday morning, but I don't know where it ended up closing at.
So yeah, we will. We'll have to keep an eye on that one.
By the way, Sir Drives a Lot said, just tuned in. Go Devils. Love it.
There you go. Definitely have something to cheer for this year over there. It's
and look, the Texas State game. I'm not saying overlook Texas State, but that is a much more winnable game if you're beating Mississippi State and you're beating Wyoming to start the year. Those two teams were supposed to be tougher than Texas State. So I'm just saying a potential 3-0 start for the Arizona State Sun Devils. I don't know that anybody had that in mind.
I certainly didn't. Now, one thing that we definitely need to talk about yesterday, we had a full slate of NFL football. And that was just an awesome thing to have back. I don't know about you, Keon, but for Sundays, I've got the NFL Red Zone. So it's kind of like sensory overload. You're just
a little bit
jumping from, this game to that game. And, you've got all these prop bets and, you're trying to, just stay on top of everything you got going on. And it just feels like you're being pulled in like 20 different directions. And strangely, I love it. So I don't know if that's something you feel the same about, but we had a bit of a shocker yesterday on the morning slate for football. Absolute biggest.
My God, if you want to talk about worst of the weekend,
then that's exactly what I'm about to shout out right now.
My God.
The Cincinnati Bengals playing at home against the New England Patriots. They were wide and far the largest favorite of the Sunday slate. I want to say that number was 8.5 pregame. And granted, the Bengals did not have T. Higgins. Jamar Chase was available and did play in this game. And the Bengals, and this almost seems kind of like a theme from them now. I mean, they looked rusty. They looked out of it. And in a game where everyone expected them to win, here come the Patriots. Patriots end up winning 16-10. I mean, just it makes me glad that I was watching it through Red Zone and I wasn't literally watching that full game, because that was just like a straight defense, horrible offense game. You're not getting a lot of scoring, so that's the kind of game where, if they just want to pop me in every time, something notable happens, good. And then, for the rest of it, I don't really care for that. There's more interesting stuff going on. But this was one that I had played personally in many different parlays that, ruined those. I had played the Bengals in the Fanatic NFL Pick'em contest that we have going on. And I certainly did not envision any world where the Patriots would go to Cincinnati and win that first game. And that is exactly what happened. Any takeaways from that game for you, Keon?
Yeah. Cincinnati and the mistakes. A lot of the turnovers felt unforced in a lot of ways. Zach Taylor, head coach of the Cincinnati Bengals, said it better than anybody. They lost a turnover battle 3-0. You said it was a boring, all defense, no offense kind of game. It's the only version of the game that the Patriots could have won, and then they won it. So I do think, hats off to them. They figured out the one way they could win the game, make it ugly, make it dirty, and they did that. but the Bengals didn't do anything to help themselves in that game. So many mistakes. A lot of the penalties that were there were terrible. Like it just looked like a team that was just completely unprepared for the start of the NFL season. And maybe that had a lot to do with Jamar Chase and asking for the money that he thinks that he is owed. He has outperformed his rookie contract. So trying to make sure that extension is a good deal for him. Sure, good for him. But the result is obviously the team is suffering. You don't have T. Higgins out there. And I don't know, man, like maybe that time off, we have completely underestimated what that means for Joe Burrow, who missed last season. Like he clearly needs to get back into a groove again because he didn't have it yesterday.
And to be honest, I think that was like a trend amongst just about any quarterback that we saw play yesterday that went down, earlier this past season with some kind of an injury. There was a number of different guys in a similar position, and neither one of them really seemed to like truly, excel or stick out. Most notably there, Kyler Murray and the Arizona Cardinals. We had a 17-3 lead against the Bills yesterday in Buffalo. And that was overall, I think that was a game where the Cardinals definitely played above expectations, and there's some promise there. There's some things to be excited about, but really seemed like for a while that they had that game in their grasp. And then, things came around in the second half of the Bills. They ended up winning 34-28. So, among the worst things of the weekend, that was probably like the least worst one that I had on my list. But I mean, do you see some potential in these Cardinals after that game on Sunday?
Yeah, but I've been high on the Cardinals all offseason. And I think that there's plenty to take away from this game in a positive direction for the Cardinals because they're not as talented as the Bills are. Like just flat out, if you look at the rosters, you put both rosters next to each other, the Bills have more talent. The Cardinals are, if you're a team with a winning record or you're a team that thinks you can go to the playoffs, the Cardinals have to be the most terrifying team in football for you to see because they're the team that on paper is bad, that will absolutely make you work for every single point you get. And that's what happened with Buffalo. They had to really pull themselves together. They started off slow. The Cardinals took advantage of that. They took advantage of the slow defense for the Bills. They took advantage of the fact that Josh Allen couldn't get out of his own way, had that fumble early in the game. They took advantage of so many things that the Bills did poorly. This is how the Cardinals win games. And that's my big takeaway from this is you're not going to play Josh Allen and the ability to kind of take a team and throw him on his back every week. Like that's not the guy you play most weeks. You're not playing the best quarterbacks in football. And the Cardinals, if they continue to play aggressively, if they continue to play consistently, they're going to start beating a lot more of these teams, specifically the bad ones. The Bills, that's just a matchup that I just don't think that I liked for the Cardinals from the beginning. But they continue to scrap. They're a team that's well coached. They have different looks that they show teams that I think can be pretty tricky. Josh Allen and the Bills, they had to adjust to it. I think they did make that adjustment, and that's what you would expect from a team that can go to a Super Bowl. But it took everything for them to win, and that's what it takes to beat the Cardinals because they're not giving you anything.
Well, and certainly if Kyler and Marvin Harrison Jr. can really start to build that chemistry together a bit more, I really do think the sky can actually be the limit for that Cardinal offense. They certainly started yesterday, and they had the Bills defense really on its heels for most of that first half. They got that awesome kick return touchdown too, the only one that happened off of a kickoff yesterday in the NFL. So just the way the kickoffs work now is so
it's weird, but I like it. It's not for the kickoff itself because it's
just visually bizarre.
It's very odd, but there's a strategy to it that I'm interested in seeing which coaches master it, because the one of the things that let the Bills back in the game was that the Cardinals were trying to make the Bills return the football, and because they kicked it to that landing area and the ball landed short of that resulted in a penalty that put the Bills on the 40. So you're playing a little bit of risk reward in the middle of the game of how shallow can we kick this thing and get away with it? Because if it doesn't stay in that landing zone area, it actually hurts us. But if we can force them to return it, that helps us in a lot of ways too. I don't know. I'm interested in what that means for the rest of the game more so than the kickoff itself.
Just seeing how all these other teams kind of incorporate it into their strategy going forward.
Because the whole league is just trying to get an edge. Like that's all the NFL is a bunch of teams trying to figure out what's the one thing everyone else isn't doing that I can do better. And that's all of football. And I just think that there's going to be some coach that figures out a way to just completely, cheese this thing and make us all love it or make us all hate it. I can't tell. But I'm excited about what direction it's going in. So let's go ahead and wrap this first segment up because we do have to get to our picks from tonight. We're talking Jets and Niners on Monday Night Football, which of course the Fanatic has every NFL game, all the primetime games. Monday Night Football. We'll be bringing that to you tonight. And we're going to break that down here on Beat the Book. I'm Keon. That's Dylan. And this is 1580 The Fanatic.
1580 and 99.3 The Fanatic.
Live and local.
Kevin Harlan here from Westwood One. And coming up Monday, it's the Seahawks hosting the Eagles. At 10-3, quarterback Jalen Hurts in Philadelphia have seen their hopes for the top NFC playoff seed put in jeopardy with back-to-back losses. Now they travel to one of the toughest road settings to face the Seahawks. Join me and Hall of Fame quarterback Kurt Warner from Seattle for Monday Night Football.
Right here on 1580, The Fanatic.
As the weather gets colder, the NFL offers Stay Hot on FanDuel. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's $150 if your team wins. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. The app is so easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. I like putting parlay bets together, hammering the overs, and anytime player touchdown bets always have me on the edge of my seat. So if you're ready to do the same, visit FanDuel.com/win and kick off the NFL season. That's FanDuel.com/win. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL.
21 plus and present in Arizona. First online real money wager, only $5 pregame money line wager required. First online real money wager, only $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued is non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT STEP to 53342.
It's fall football on The Fanatic. Catch all the live game play-by-play. Monday night, Thursday night, and Sunday day and night NFL games. Plus the Saturday NCAA football game of the week. It's all right here on the Valley's home for football. 1580 and 99.3 The Fanatic. Brought to you by Bet365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365.
Inflation has us all looking over our budgets. From groceries to travel, the cost of nearly everything has gone up. Prices of life insurance, though, have remained steady. This September, during Life Insurance Awareness Month, SelectQuote could help you save more than 50% on term life insurance. For example, we found Jack a $500,000 policy for only $18 a month. In a hurry? Don't worry. We now offer up to $5 million in instant affordable coverage with no medical exam required. That's right, up to $5 million in affordable same-day coverage with no medical exam. Even if you already have coverage, there's a chance you no longer have enough. And as the cost of living continues to rise, it's more important now than ever to make sure your loved ones are protected. Call SelectQuote at 1-800-928-3355. That's 1-800-928-3355. Or go to SelectQuote.com to get your free quote today. That's 1-800-928-3355. Details on example rate at SelectQuote.com.
I'm still going for it, even with higher stroke risk from atrial fibrillation, an irregular heartbeat not caused by a heart valve problem. Over a 3-year study, Eliquis apixaban tablets reduce stroke risk better than warfarin. And over 97% of Eliquis patients did not experience a stroke. A first stroke occurred in 2.9% of warfarin patients versus 2.3% of Eliquis patients.
Don't stop taking prescription Eliquis without asking your doctor. It may increase your stroke risk. Eliquis can cause serious and in rare cases fatal bleeding. Don't take Eliquis if you have an artificial heart valve, abnormal bleeding, or antiphospholipid syndrome. While taking, you may bruise more easily or take longer for bleeding to stop. A spinal injection while on Eliquis increases risk of blood clots, which may cause paralysis, the inability to move. Get medical help right away for unexpected bleeding, unusual bruising, or tingling, numbness, or muscle weakness. Medications such as aspirin products, NSAIDs, SSRIs, SNRIs, and blood thinners may increase bleeding risk. Tell your doctor about all planned medical or dental procedures. Learn more at Eliquis.com or call 1-855-ELIQUIS.
Hey, sweetie, what you doing?
Looking around for jobs, offices, 9 to 5. I don't want anything boring.
You know, Brian's daughter's in the Phoenix Police Academy. Pretty sure she's not bored.
I never thought of that.
Check out joinphxpd.com and take a look.
Over 80 specialty details like detective and canine handler. What else? Dignitary protection, 911 operator. They have aviation and dive team jobs? What?
Rise to serve. Find more today at joinphxpd.com. Protect and serve with the elite.
Sponsored by the City of Phoenix.
If it's local,
We talk about it.
1580 and 99.3.
The Fanatic.
And we're back. Broadcasting live from the Harmon Solar Studios, and time to talk a little Niners. Time to talk a little Jets and get to this game.
The Niners and Jets game will be broadcasted live on the Fanatic. So if you're going to be in your car or, away from a TV, then, this is the home for all Monday Night Football, as long as the Cardinals are not playing for this NFL season, in addition to Thursday Night Football, Sunday Night Football, all those primetime games. You can catch them here on the Fanatic. And don't also forget that this show is brought to you by Sport Trade, the newest sports book coming to Arizona. Search them online. You can check out the whale tracker from Sport Trade, get some visibility on all the very large wagers that I'm sure people are placing through that platform right now on this game tonight. Keon, we had a really interesting exercise that I think we kind of figured out this past week that is probably going to be the way that we talk about all this stuff going forward. Is there anyone in this matchup tonight, as I'm kind of looking over, the betting markets right now, is there anyone in particular that, is playing on this game? They can be on either team, just anyone that you're expecting a big performance out of tonight.
Well, sadly, for fantasy football reasons, Christian McCaffrey. And I say the sadly for fantasy football reasons because I'm against Christian McCaffrey in 2 leagues. So he's gonna obviously have a big game because he is just such a big part of what the 49ers like to do. But I do expect him to have a monster performance. I think that because he offers so much pressure as a runner and as a receiver, that's the person that you're going to try to figure out how to stress this Jets defense, that when, everything is clicking in New York, this is one of the best defenses in the league.
I'm happy you made that point about just him, having the dynamic of obviously being the elite running back that he is, but to also be a receiver, because this isn't a new betting market, but it's new for me. This isn't something that I would typically play in years prior, but yesterday, if anyone happened to follow me on Instagram, the account is at Beat the Book Fanatic. I had actually posted some props on my story in the morning, just things that I liked. And a couple of the props that I took were for player rushing and receiving yards. So it's the combined sum of any given player's rushing and receiving yards. And what that total ends up being, is it going to be over, under, the given line that the book has. So I had some success playing that over. Sunday I had Bijan Robinson's over on rushing plus receiving yards. I had James Conner's over on player rushing and receiving yards. And that's certainly one that comes to mind for Christian McCaffrey tonight. And there's a number of different ways that you can, bet on how you think he's going to perform in this game. It's kind of hard to go wrong with him. He is just really the engine of that San Francisco offense. But for tonight, for example, I'm just looking on FanDuel right now. The line for Christian McCaffrey's combined rushing and receiving yards is sitting at 110.5 over under. Meanwhile, his line for just rushing yards only is sitting at about 71.5 over under. So, if this is a game where you think it's going to be really, really run heavy, and maybe McCaffrey isn't going to get those chances to, maybe get some short passes or a long ball from the 49ers, then, it's probably, better to take his rushing yards. But then again, if you think Brock Purdy is going to be looking to target him and you don't want to be, bound to playing just his rushing yards, then that's where this rushing plus receiving yards market comes in. And that's where it can be really useful. And especially yesterday, in my experience playing that for, James Conner, on the Cardinals, that was one where he just benefits from, having just a lot of, space within, 5-10 yards from the quarterback. He doesn't have to run very far to then turn around and be like an eligible receiver. And for the 49ers, I definitely like that dynamic for Christian McCaffrey, with, the other skilled players that they have between Deebo Samuel, with George Kittle, at tight end. There's other guys.
They got Ayuk back.
They got Ayuk. I mean, these are guys that all in their own individual rights demand a lot of attention from the defense. And you're going to force the Jets defense to make some choices about who's going to be open. So definitely like the Christian McCaffrey over. I honestly like it at the line of 110.5. You could play that over just to be conservative. They also have an alternate market on this for FanDuel. So if you want to lower that line a little bit just to be safe, I recommended taking Christian McCaffrey for over 100 rushing plus receiving yards. That's actually one of the other bets to consider today from the picks that I posted, which we'll get into in the next segment. But when it comes to a touchdown scorer, I know the number one most popular player, hands down, is going to be McCaffrey. Is there anyone else after Christian McCaffrey that you can think of that might be worth trying to lay a bet down on to get a touchdown tonight?
Tonight, I could go Jets at Breece Hall, because I just think when they get in that red zone area, he starts to become a whole lot more important. And he showed me a lot last year what he can do when he doesn't even really have space to run. They didn't have Aaron Rodgers out there. The receiving game was terrible. Teams knew the Jets had to give the ball to Breece Hall, and I thought he was still pretty productive. So if he's going to have that room to operate, Aaron Rodgers can get Garrett Wilson going, and now the defense has to back up a little bit, spread out, and he's got more space to run with, especially when he starts getting in that second level. I could see Breece Hall scoring a touchdown. I feel good about that.
And Breece Hall, the way that the betting market is priced right now for like an anytime touchdown scorer, Christian McCaffrey is the wide and far favorite. He's minus 170, but you can still get Breece Hall at plus 120. So you're getting over even money for him to just score a touchdown any time in the game. So that certainly seems like it's got some value there. But I do want to shift the conversation a little bit to Aaron Rodgers. Because we were chatting a little bit about him before the show, and I have the unique perspective coming into this game of being someone that, going back to the beginning of last season, really liked this Jets team, and I really liked the move to acquire Aaron Rodgers and just moving on from the mediocrity of Zach Wilson and that whole failed experiment. And I happen to be someone, I've mentioned this before, I had bets on the Jets to win the Super Bowl last year. I was invested in them doing very well to begin that season. And then I got burned pretty bad on, Rodgers not making it out of that first game. He did tear his Achilles. It ended his season. It completely tanked the Jets season, pretty much from that point on.
They had nothing else.
So, now I'm trying to come into this game with a fresh mind and a clean slate. And it's just hard to forget about trauma like that, if I'm being completely honest. And I did say this to you before the show, and I think we probably feel a little bit different about it. And that was why I wanted to kind of get the transparency out about the kind of roller coaster I feel like I've been through with the Jets. I do not completely buy into this being a good situation for Aaron Rodgers. And I don't mean that, by him not being able to be successful on the football field, but at age 40, coming back from a torn Achilles, and then seeing the way that a younger Kirk Cousins, didn't necessarily look, like an elite quarterback for 4 straight quarters in his game after coming back from a torn Achilles. And granted, he's younger than Aaron Rodgers. It just makes me question a few things about Rodgers. Number one, I mean, how is this guy going to handle getting hit at age 40 when he has not played football for a very long time? And it's not even so much.
It's been a calendar year.
Well, and it's a calendar year, but I mean, even it's kind of more than that, because I don't really count the portion of the game that he played where he injured himself. I know that literally counts, but
yeah, but I mean, it depends too, because like, are you counting like any preseason he might have played in that window, any of that? Like, yeah, he didn't play NFL games, because I wouldn't count that as a game played. He played 4.
It was an experience.
It was 4 snaps.
He got to run around with the American flag.
Yeah, and about a minute's worth of football. But I don't think the game's going to get away from him. Someone who's been playing the game this long.
I guess the point I'm trying to make, it's not so much that the game's even going to get away from him. I'm almost questioning where he's at mentally. I mean, is he prepared to get knocked around? Is his body prepared to, kind of handle the stress of football at the age that he's at? I mean, Aaron Rodgers is a legendary quarterback. He's going to, go down as one of the best to ever do it.
He's a first ballot Hall of Famer whenever he's ready. Yeah,
I don't dispute any of that. I'm just questioning, is he going to be able to rise to the occasion tonight in this game? And if you haven't already checked out my picks that I posted for today, I did advise to take the 49ers money line in this one. I am just not buying that we are going to get a elite Aaron Rodgers that's reminiscent of the guy from Green Bay. He's just in a different green colored jersey, thrown to different guys. That is the hope. That's what everyone, thinks is potentially possible, but we haven't really seen that proven product yet. And the way that, the expectations are for the Jets, it just seems like a lot to put on him, to be in that elite kind of Green Bay quarterback form when he just doesn't have the experience really playing with these guys. I mean, he's been in practices with them for a long time. I mean, the camaraderie thing, I'm sure it's all there.
At least the locker room might be nice.
Locker room is probably a good situation, but is he going to be able to put it together on the field tonight? And am I willing to put my money on him to put it together tonight? I'm leaning towards no. Do you think that there's a chance that he just shocks people and he looks like the Aaron Rodgers of old?
I'll do you one better. I think there's a chance he shocks people, and there's a chance it doesn't matter, because he's playing the Niners. This is a team historically, even when he was at his best, when he runs into the Niners, they give him fits. I don't know what it is. I don't know what the hang up is. Maybe it's because he always wanted to be a Niner and never got the chance. I have no idea. When Aaron Rodgers plays the San Francisco 49ers, even when he's at his best, we don't see the best Aaron Rodgers. So I don't know that this is a great first matchup. I'm taking the Niners. I'm staying as far away from Aaron Rodgers trying to beat that team as humanly possible, just because I don't see it very often. He doesn't play well against them. So I'm leaning towards the Niners either way. Like, it doesn't, I'm almost being disrespectful because I just don't care what Aaron does. I think the Niners are very good at beating his teams.
I didn't include this with the post that I had put out with the picks for today, but it is something that's been kind of in the back of my head, and I'm still thinking about it, and I might do something with it. And again, it is very much impacted by the experience I went through last year on betting on the Jets to be successful. But there is a part of me that is curious about trying to combine as many unders for Rodgers as possible. And the true, the crux of the bet is just to assume that he doesn't make it out of this game, as kind of cynical as that is.
Which I think he's going to make it out of the game. Like, even, and I understand he's younger, but Kirk Cousins made it out of the game yesterday. He just didn't look good. Like, that's the most likely outcome to me, is that Rodgers plays badly. And that's more than likely going to be the case for at least some portion of this game, just based on, like you said, the amount of football that he's missed. Let me jump to the text line really, really quick. Big George, this has nothing to do with the show. Rest in peace, James Earl Jones. The iconic voice is silenced. Loved him as Vader, and on Field of Dreams, he will be missed. We agree, just not on this show. I'll go ahead and
I
say
had no idea. Shout out to James Earl Jones.
Yeah,
True
no,
legend.
like that's why I thought it was worth reading. And then Navy Brad had a question that's probably better addressed to Jeffrey, to be honest, Navy Brad. But thanks for listening. Golden Domer says, keep in mind when you're tracking your win-loss record that you can't really count losing minus 180, minus 200, minus 250 bets as a single loss. If you go 6-4 and several of those bets were minus 200 or minus 250 bets, you're really closer to 6-6 than you are 6-4. That's what Golden Domer says. I don't know that I agree with that, but I also don't know enough to say that that's wrong. What do you think, Dylan?
I don't believe I put out that many bets on any given day that are priced in that range.
I don't know if he means
like I'll try and give maybe like 1 or 2, but there's never going to be a day where I put out 12 individual picks and like half of them are priced at minus 180 or minus 200. I really do try and kind of keep it as close to
even money as you can.
Yeah. And then every now and then there's going to be kind of a heavier underdog. Every now and then there's going to be like someone to get one hit, and that might be like minus 200 or minus 220. But you know, I the way that I account for the record, so to speak, is, you know, the 2 picks of the day and the 10 other bets to consider are just 12 individual outcomes that I'm predicting. And then however many of those win, that's what I'm saying is, you know, winning out of 12. And then however you ultimately choose to parlay them or play them straight, you know, I leave that up to, you know, anyone that looks at those posts to decide. Me personally, I do always parlay the 2 picks that I give like analysis for. So if anyone's ever looking at that post and they're trying to find some more direction about how to actually bet it, just know that me personally, I'm always doing a 2-leg parlay of the 2 picks. And then there's going to be other random combinations.
And then you can use any of those other bets to consider to maybe sweeten the deal or
correct. And then also in that analysis, I do not include the long shot parlay, just simply because the long shot parlay is a long shot. So there shouldn't be an expectation that thing is going to win every single day.
We know, in fact, that more often than not, it doesn't, because it is. That's what makes it a long shot. I don't know if Golden Domer addressed that to you specifically or not, because he texted that like while we were talking about the Jets. So I have no idea. The Moist one says, I honestly think Debo is going to show out tonight. I took the over at 67.5 yards rushing and receiving. His versatility will help give C-Mac a little rest when he needs it. I could see Christian having a lighter workload than usual coming into a season with a calf/Achilles injury and going up against a tough defense. Something to consider there.
Something to consider. And then that's also where I kind of like the security of betting the receiving plus rushing yards and not putting it all on Christian McCaffrey to have to get above, 71.5. I think that was his line, exclusive rushing yards. So,
and we're over a break right now. So do you want to just quickly, what do you think about Debo?
I think Debo is someone that, he's got the potential to pop off, and it's just because, other players on that team are going to draw more attention. So with Debo, I like him more for the receiving yards.
Well, the receiving yards are great, but like they use him as a running back too. He starts in the backfield. He's basically receiver McCaffrey. McCaffrey's the running back that can be a receiver. Debo is the receiver that can be a running back. So it really winds up being the Niners use him for so many more things than just receiving that maybe some receiving plus rushing yards for Debo might be in order.
Well, and his line for that's only 71.5 for rushing plus receiving. So, probably sounds like, taking the over on his line for that is going to be something to consider as well if McCaffrey ends up getting a lighter workload tonight due to the injuries.
Yeah. So I don't know, maybe hedge one with the other if you're leaning one way or the other. This is Beat the Book. We're really late for a break. I'm Keon. That's Dylan. And we'll wrap this puppy up coming back on the other side on 1580 The Fanatic.
1580 and 99.3 The Fanatic.
Live and local.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at checkethos.com. That's checkethos.com.
Inflation has us all looking over our budgets. From groceries to travel, the cost of nearly everything has gone up. Prices of life insurance, though, have remained steady. This September, during Life Insurance Awareness Month, SelectQuote could help you save more than 50% on term life insurance. For example, we found Jack a $500,000 policy for only $18 a month. In a hurry? Don't worry. We now offer up to $5 million in instant affordable coverage with no medical exam required. That's right, up to $5 million in affordable same-day coverage with no medical exam. Even if you already have coverage, there's a chance you no longer have enough. And as the cost of living continues to rise, it's more important now than ever to make sure your loved ones are protected. Call SelectQuote at 1-800-928-3355. That's 1-800-928-3355. Or go to SelectQuote.com to get your free quote today. That's 1-800-928-3355. Details on example rate at SelectQuote.com.
Everybody's got a podcast these days. Comedy, politics, true crime, you name it. But how many actually teach you anything useful? Harman Solar has an entertaining podcast that is vital if you've been thinking about looking into solar, but you don't know where to start. Ralph and Ben explore the intricacies of utilities, equipment, processes, and more. Their primary objective is to educate and empower you to make informed decisions on your solar journey. So increase your knowledge, not your bills. Go check it out right now. It's the Harman Solar Podcast at harmansolar.com.
J.D. Hayworth here, and the road to feeling better leads to my good friends Dr. William and Ava Gaspar at Beehive IV Wellness in Chandler. With both licensed nurses and physicians on staff by appointment or walk-in, Beehive IV Wellness takes a holistic, naturopathic approach that helps your body with self-healing. All of today's popular treatments are available at Beehive Wellness, from IV hydration to joint injections, even popular semaglutide for weight loss. If you haven't tried IV treatment, you're missing out on your chance to really get healthy. So look them up, make an appointment, or simply walk into Beehive IV Wellness at their Chandler Clinic, where you always get a free initial consultation. Mention me, J.D. Hayworth, get half off your first treatment. Search Beehive IV Wellness on your mobile phone. You'll thrive with Beehive.
1580 and 99.3 The Fanatic.
Live and local.
So we're back to wrap this bad boy up, and we just had our picks for the night, basically. You're saying Niners money line, and I agree. I don't. Even if I were to account for Aaron Rodgers and be just as generous towards him as humanly possible, I just don't think.
Come over to the side of the favorites, Keon. You've been you've been riding underdogs for too long in the NFL.
I mean, it's a bold stance. I know. Not Niners versus the Jets. The Niners. How could anybody pick them? But no, I just don't think that Aaron Rodgers either way, unless he just has a legendary game and the Niners are bad in a way that none of us sees coming. I just don't see how Aaron Rodgers is able to overcome this. And I know that the Jets are a good team, but they do have their issues. Their offensive line is not good. And that's going to be a problem. This is a pass rush in San Francisco that is really good. I don't know, what the betting strategy is around sacks, but I'm guessing that they'll probably have a couple tonight, as putting it lightly. And unless Aaron Rodgers can move around, I think,
Fred Warner to record an interception is priced at 13-1. Kind of feels like there's some value there. One thing that I did actually post on the picks for today, and again, if you are just tuning in, you can visit 1580thefanatic.com and click on the Beat the Book logo with Dylan Cohen. That'll take you right to the Beat the Book website with all of the posts in the past and for today. You can also follow me on Instagram at Beat the Book Fanatic. Hit the link in the bio. That'll take you right to the Beat the Book website to see the posts. But one of the things I did put on there was for Aaron Rodgers to record a interception. And I think just, being a little bit rusty on actually experiencing some true, game, scenarios and game competition. It's hard to simulate those things in practice. I think it's very possible the Niners, they've got an awesome defense. Hopefully they'll catch him slipping and, get at least one interception there. But in addition to that, there are some other prop bets for this game posted on there. So make sure you go online to check that out. But the other pick of the day that I did want to mention, because I was able to do a very thorough AI analysis on this one. And let's see if AI can up its record after Friday, because it finally seemed like it was human for once, which, I guess it's not supposed to be, but
it's not supposed to be, but it also isn't magic. It's probability. You're still dealing with probability.
I like the joke that it can see the future, but it definitely can't.
So your number one critic, Golden Domer, is back. But they're all betting related criticism, so I always feel like it's worth mentioning. He said the Niners are minus 210, the Braves are minus 160, the Guardians are minus 225, and the Braves Reds over 7.5 is minus 160. He said, come on now, it's fine to pick all favorites, but you can't act like those are minus 110 picks.
Part of the issue with what's going on here is the time of day that the pricing is being looked at. Because when I make these posts, it's happening in the morning. And then, if you're just looking at the stuff right now, there's movement between now and then. He did happen to say some of those picks were priced closer to like minus 160, minus 150 right now. I think when I was looking at them, they were maybe like minus 140, minus 120. But you're not going to get 6 things on any given day that's minus 200 or longer. And that was the point that I was trying to make before on that. But, in this case, he did shout out the Guardians. The Guardians are on there for a reason that I think you can look at the schedule and figure out, and due to what seems to be an unlucky trend, I'm not going to mention that other team that they're playing today's name, but look at the schedule. You'll figure out why I picked them there. The other pick for today, as Golden Domer mentioned, is for the Braves money line. They've got a great pitching matchup where I really do feel like it favors the Braves here. AI felt like that as well. Charlie Morton on the mound. He's had 6 or more strikeouts his last 5 games. So look for him to have a strong performance against the Reds. The Braves have not beat the Reds yet this season. They're going to be dying to get that first win and make sure that they don't get swept in that series. And like I said before, look up Beat the Book with Dylan Cohen. You can just search it online. I'm sure you'll get to the right place. You'll see all the picks for today. And happy betting, everyone.
Yeah, enjoy the NFL game tonight. Blender coming up next. Golden Domer says, all good. You guys are great. Love the show. We appreciate you listening. Sir Drives a lot, the Moist One, and everyone else that jumped on the line. We appreciate you guys, and we'll see you tomorrow here on Beat the Book.
Hey, football fans, Michael Vick